Hey there, I'm Doug Stannard. I'm with the Leaders Institute and Fearless Presentations, and basically what I do is help people design really effective presentations. One of the things that I get asked about most often is, how do I know if the audience is really into what I'm saying, or what are some of the things that I'm doing now that I can fix that will help me become a better speaker? And just to kind of give you some background, what I did when I first started teaching our 2-day Fearless Presentations classes was I started to kind of make a list of some of the things that people kind of told us were some of the most annoying things that folks have done to them when they were in the audience. And we did, and I spent 5 years just kind of collecting how many times people said certain things, and we made them into a top 10 list. So I'm going to cover the top 3 of those. These are the 3 most egregious, the worst thing possible that you can do in front of a group that will turn off the audience. Because if you fix these 3, there's a good chance that you're probably going to be a much better speaker. So the 3 most egregious things that you can do to turn off an audience. The first thing is giving a lot of information to your audience that doesn't correspond to the visual aid. So basically, you're talking while the audience is trying to read your visual aid and they're getting confused. A good example of this is I was in the audience. This was back way before I was even a speaking coach. I was at a convention, and the person who was speaking, great speaker by the way, but he put up like 10 bullet points on back then it was like overhead. That's how old I am, right? So it was an overhead. He put up 10 bullets, and I'm sitting there reading through his bullet points, and I got to bullet point number 3, 4, 5 or so, and then I started listening to what he was saying. And I couldn't figure out which one of the bullet points he was on, because he didn't say, I'm on bullet point number 2, I'm on bullet point number 3. He wasn't really using his visual aid effectively. And so I just assumed, based on what he was saying, that he was on bullet point number 2. And eventually he just kind of took the slide and moved it. And I'm like, oh crap, I missed the last 4 or 5. That's kind of that's a big version of this. I mean, that's kind of the ultimate in kind of using this, but a lot of times we'll do it in much smaller ways where we've got 2 or 3 bullet points or 5 bullet points up, and we've gone through the first 2 or 3, but then we don't go through the 4th one or the 5th one, or we're doing it verbally without telling people that we've kind of moved. And that can be a big turnoff to the audience, because they think they're missing something. They're confused about the points that you're trying to make. So that's a big one. Speaking while the audience is trying to read your text, or not using your visual aid effectively. The second one, the second most egregious anyway, the second worst thing that you can do to turn off an audience is just reading. So it's the exact opposite of the first one. That's where we've got 142 bullet points, and we're just reading and clicking, 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 reading and clicking. And I'll give you an example of this in real life. We, at the end of our 2-day Fearless Presentations class, we usually do a quick little session on how to do PowerPoint presentations more effectively. And we do it in fun, right? So basically what we do is we create a PowerPoint slideshow where we break every single rule that we've taught in the 2 days, and just to see how long it's going to take the people in the audience to figure out that we're breaking all the rules. We're doing the exact opposite of what we've been telling them to do for the last couple of days. And about 10 years ago, when we first started doing this, we would get about 2 or 3 slides in, and basically all we were doing is read and click, read and click, read and click, read and click. Next slide, read, click, read, click, read, click. We do that over and over and over again. But by the time we'd get to like the 3rd slide, somebody would stop us and say, "Okay, we get your point. This is the opposite of what you've been teaching us." What's funny though is really in the last 4 or 5 years or so, we've gotten to the point now where we might get 6 or 7 slides into this slideshow before people stop us, before they figured out that we're doing this for fun. And the reason why is because I think we've now gotten to a point in business communication where that's kind of the norm. It's something that a lot of people do so often that it's torture for us when we're sitting in the audience, but we're kind of used to it, right? So I'm going to keep sticking my finger with a knife. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you keep doing that? I don't know. I've always done it. So basically, it leaves a great opportunity for a really good speaker that's not just reading and clicking to look and feel more professional in front of a group. The biggest one though, this is the one that comes up most often. This is the one that is probably it comes up 10 times more than any of the other things is what we call data dumping. That's giving too much information in too short of a period of time. So it could be we've got too many slides in our slide deck. It could be that we've got too many bullet points on the slide. It could be that we're just covering too much information and we're having to zoom through it. The key thing that we teach in our Fearless Presentations classes is that you'll be a much better presenter if you cover a few concepts very well than if you cover a lot of concepts in a cursory fashion, because it's just going to confuse people. In fact, one of the things that we've learned is that per sitting, from the time that you start talking to the time that you give the audience a break, they're only going to recall maybe 4 plus or minus 1 things that you say. 3, 4, 5 key things is about tops. So if you're covering any more than 5 bullet points, 5 main concepts within that sitting, there's a good chance that they're not going to be remembering a lot of the stuff that you're dealing with. So you'll notice that a lot of times when we're giving our videos and when we're doing our podcast, most often we're going to focus on 3, 4, 5 key things, and it makes the audience really like it a whole lot better. Your audience will as well. So focus on just a few key things versus data dumping, and you'll do a whole lot better. So if you want to see a few more of these deadly sins that turn off audiences, we've got all 10 listed on our website, and just follow the link below and it'll take you right to it.